So, Alien Romulus was about a year ago now, and because, God forbid, this series takes a breather long enough for the audience to have a chance to miss it, it's time for it to make its first foray into television with Alien Earth, the latest example of Hollywood milking, rebooting, reimagining, spin-offing, and sodomizing every IP under the sun, whether anyone likes it or not. You're welcome. After Romulus had so much promise but ended up being so frustrating, I really needed to disengage from this franchise for a while. So I had purposefully avoided any news, any marketing. I didn't watch the trailers, didn't watch anything about this. And to be honest, for a long time, I didn't think I'd even watch the show. I'd been burned one too many times, I had no faith in it, I was out. But at the end of the day, this is still a franchise that was spawned from one of my favorite films of all time, FOMO, etc., and long story short, here we are. But I refuse to get my hopes up again. I made that mistake before, not this time. So when I hit play on the first episode, my expectations were zero. As I'm recording this, we've only seen episodes 1 and 2, and how's it shaping up so far? Say it with me. It's complicated. I really need a graphic for that. Anyway, I'm gonna do this one a little bit differently and skip my usual plot breakdown because, frankly, there isn't that much plot to talk about here. Plenty of stuff happens, but they're still in setting things up mode right now, and there's definitely a sense that the show is not fully formed yet. Even in just these 2 episodes, it changes a lot. It begins with a sequence that absolutely bends over backwards to replicate the beginning of Ridley Scott's Alien. And not just the story, I mean the aesthetics, the sets, the tone, the music, the character dynamics of the ship's crew and the way they interact. It's all so slavishly devoted to making the show look and feel like that film. They're basically doing shot-for-shot recreations in some cases. We're getting into copy-paste territory at that point, but appreciate the effort. After this, we go to Earth and dive into what I think the producers ultimately wanted this show to be about: a bunch of terminally ill kids getting their brains transplanted into adult synthetic bodies because the most obviously evil genius corporate asshole ever has a Peter Pan complex. Literally. From there, the 2 plots converge, and the show turns into a fancy what-if story, i.e., what if the Nostromo had crashed on Earth with the only survivors being Ash and the Xenomorph? And then the rest of it is the least capable group of jackasses you could imagine running around a building trying not to get killed for about 40 minutes. Also, this guy is a thing. Don't ask me why, I'm just as confused as you are. So at first glance, Alien Earth is better than I thought it would be, and that's not saying much. And upon closer look, the cracks are already there. Visually, the production team brought their A game. I don't know how much money FX or Hulu spent on this show, but it's damn impressive. The sets, the practical effects, the xenomorphs all look great. It's like a big budget sci-fi movie. And the writing is pretty surprising too, but that's not necessarily good news. The best thing this show is pulling off right now is the world building. Right out of the gate, they're adding new wrinkles to what we already know about this universe. Apparently a big theme of the story is going to be corrupt corporations, industrial espionage, and stuff like that, which isn't uncharacteristic for Weyland-Yutani, but now they're telling us that the Earth is basically controlled and run by these corporations, all of which I'm sure are just as sketchy. And I like this. You're taking something that was established in the movies and expanding on it in a way that makes sense. And the corporation we're following is a new player on the board making crazy new advancements in synth technology. And they're already hinting at a larger story there that may be asking some thought-provoking questions about AI, transhumanism, the evolution of human consciousness, like, how does the human mind evolve when it's housed in a supercomputer that can work faster than an organic brain? How does the mind of a child evolve if you put it in a robotic adult body that doesn't age? Is a human still human if they don't have an organic body anymore? If not, what are they? What will they become in the future? Okay, on paper, you've got some cool ideas here. You've created a really interesting sandbox for this story to take place in. I'm intrigued, let's see more. But there's 2 problems. One, judging by the amount of time they spend on it, I think the writers are much more interested in these ideas than they are in the xenomorphs the show is supposed to be about. And 2, I'm not convinced at all that they can explore these ideas in a way that won't turn out to be a bunch of bullshit. Now, sure, it's only 2 episodes, a lot can change. But as of right now, the way they're going about this is they'll come up with a good idea or a good starting point, but then they'll start fleshing out that idea in ways that are kind of really dumb, and it's not inspiring a lot of confidence in me. For instance, this business of putting the minds of children into adult synth bodies sounds interesting, and it still could be if it's handled in a smart way, but so far it means we've got a cast of characters who look like adults and act like little kids, and turns out that's even less endearing than it sounds. Pretty cringy, actually. I think it might have gone over better 5 or 10 years ago, but these days people who look like adults and act like fucking children is kind of a big problem out here in the real world, so it's not really something I want to see in my escapism. Seriously, after one scene with these characters, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna get really annoying really quickly, isn't it? Spoiler, it does. And what the writers do with them isn't helping the situation. It's just bonkers. You're gonna send these little kids who aren't even used to their new bodies yet on some incredibly dangerous, sensitive, high-pressure mission with no training and barely any supervision? What do you think is gonna happen there? Do you think that's not gonna go pear-shaped in a big hurry? What the hell, man? If you want to send synths, send some fucking synths. We know you have access to as many as you'd need, but instead you're sending children?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Hey, Mr. Boy Genius Corporate Asshole Guy, why send little kids who represent a revolutionary and not necessarily legal technological breakthrough for your company out into the field to contain a volatile situation completely unprepared where they could very easily be discovered or killed, one of which happens within minutes, by the way, and land you in huge legal jeopardy or destroy your investment? Aren't you supposed to be really smart? Because they literally tell us that when the show begins. This dude is supposedly the smartest person on Earth or some shit. Well, you could have fooled me. And even more concerning, the writers are already falling victim to one of my most hated tropes in TV and movies, when characters can only advance the plot by being really stupid. Our main character, Wendy, has been keeping tabs on her older brother, who was made to believe that she died, I guess because the process of putting someone's brain in a synth body is very hush-hush. So she wants to contact him, but it's forbidden because reasons. And instead of letting that play out for a little while so we can see what it does to Marcy as she's missing her brother and wants to talk to him but can't, and maybe she's afraid of how he'd react to what's been done to her, instead of all that, the very first time they come face to face, which happens almost immediately, so the writers couldn't throw that plot out fast enough, one of the other kids is like, hey, I know we look like grown-ups, but I'm actually 11 and she's 12. We used to be kids, but this boy genius put our brains in robot bodies, and her real name is Marcy. She's your sister, who you thought was dead but really isn't. Oops, that was a secret. I wasn't supposed to say that. Okay, bye! Not only am I not joking, I'm not even paraphrasing that much. It's as if the writers began this story with no idea how to get from point A to point B, so they just threw up their hands and sidestepped the whole thing with one of the most half-assed exposition dumps I've seen in a very long time. This was complete amateur hour narrative shortcut stuff here. I couldn't believe they thought they could get away with this. And that isn't the only facepalm-worthy moment in this premiere, by the way. When the show actually starts moving, that's when things get really fucking dumb. And random. There are scenes here that are so random and so out of place that even if they were leftovers from some wildly different previous draft of the script, I still would have no idea what they're doing here. Like, a spaceship crashes into a building, the building could collapse at any moment because, you know, that's what happens, so they've got to evacuate the place ASAP. But the people in the building refuse to evacuate because they're having a party where they dress up like 19th century British fops. I'd explain it if I could. They might as well have booted up ChatGPT, given it no prompts, and then filmed the first scene it spit out. That's how much sense this made. Then there's this other scene where a character who just moments earlier was nearly savagely killed by a horrific alien monster that's the stuff of nightmares, which could still be in the building right now for all he knows, and instead of freaking out or getting the hell out of the building before it comes back, or having any kind of normal human reaction, instead of any of that stuff, he takes several minutes to calmly and casually reminisce about baseball. What is this? What are we doing? What are these characters even thinking? Why are they behaving like this? Did scenes from a different show get dropped into this one by mistake? I don't know, but whatever's going around to make them act this way might be contagious, because the closer you look, the more these 2 episodes play out, the more you start to notice characters doing things that don't make any sense at all. And you begin to get a feel for what the writer's storytelling sensibilities are. They'll put a smart idea on the table, but then that idea will be shepherded by some of the dumbest smart characters you could imagine. And once you get past that, you start wondering about other things too. Simple things, little things, like why do these characters have weapons that can easily subdue and restrain the xenomorphs when this is taking place before the events of the movies and they didn't have those weapons in the movies? Fucking hell, why didn't the Space Marines and Cameron's aliens have gear like this if it existed like you're telling us it did? It just makes no sense. Damn it, maybe the world building isn't so good after all. I mean, shit, it's really baffling what happens here. How the show can begin really well and have so much promise right off the bat, only to start dropping off a cliff in less than an hour. They have a pretty damn good concept generator here, but I'm already getting a sinking feeling that those concepts are just gonna end up falling apart because they're packaged in a wrapper of nonsensical, stupid shit. And I don't have high hopes that the cast can salvage this thing either. The acting is, well, inconsistent, to put it nicely. Some of the actors are quite good, and some are not. Silver lining, if you want to see it, the main girl, Wendy, is easily the best actor here. She definitely has charisma and screen presence, and she captures the childlike innocence and naivete of this character in a way that's actually really cute and charming. I like Wendy, and she's the only one of these kid in a grown-up robot body characters who isn't cringy and obnoxious. The others are already getting on my nerves. Except maybe the redhead, she's okay, but that might be because they haven't given her anything to do yet except look confused. The boy genius character is interesting, I guess. Does a lot of stupid things, but at least the actor stands out. Time will tell if it's in a good way or a bad way. And Timothy Oliphant is fine, but he's just standing around looking really stern right now. Aside from that, not much to see here. I guess our other lead character is Wendy's brother, and this performance was so fucking bland and muted, I genuinely wondered if the actor had a drug problem. Seriously, was he stoned when he shot this? Because he seems half asleep, and the half that's awake looks like it would rather be anywhere else on Earth than in this show. The day players, not good. One lady plays about to be eaten by a xenomorph like, uh-oh, I left the stove on too long. I hope my dinner isn't burned. That would be a minor inconvenience. Hey look, an alien! Look, I don't want to completely write off Alien Earth yet. I've done that with some other shows after just a few episodes, but those shows deserved it. This one is a wait and see. The first episode is really encouraging overall, and most of the problems I've been talking about here happen in episode 2. Maybe that episode was just a fluke. Clearly a lot went wrong with it, but every show has some growing pains at first, so we'll see. There's enough good stuff here that I want to keep watching for at least a few weeks to see if it improves before I drop it. I like the sets, I like the effects, I like the Wendy character, and I like a lot of the ideas at the center of this thing, so I think Alien Earth has the potential to be a good entry in the Alien series, and I hope that's what it turns into, because I don't want this show to suck. It's been a long time since I've really enjoyed the Alien franchise. I'd like to be able to do that again. But I saw a lot of warning signs here that the writers and producers have bitten off more than they can chew, and all that potential may end up getting wasted if they can't iron the kinks out pretty quickly. So I'm rooting for this show, I really am, but I'm not letting my guard down anytime soon. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. While you're here, ding that bell icon and follow all of my social media so you can always be notified when I upload new stuff. The links are down there. And YouTube just made it a lot harder to get traction on these videos. Engagement doesn't count anymore unless you're interactive. So if you want to support the channel, it's more important than ever for you to do all the other YouTube things. Hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, even if it's just to say comment, it still counts. else. It's a few seconds out of your life and it really helps out. Subscribe if you haven't already, and people are getting unsubbed without their knowledge all the time, so make sure you're still subscribed. I'll be back with more soon. Take care, stay tuned. I'll see you next time.